Imagine the suffocating pressure of expectations. You are the reigning champions of the world. Every single time you step onto the pitch, the opposing team is not just playing a game, they are playing the biggest match of their lives. The narrative was already aggressively written by critics before the referee even blew the whistle. Argentina, the kings of flair, facing the cold, physical, and unyielding defensive wall of Iceland. If you remember the ghosts of the 2018 World Cup, you know exactly why this matchup is a psychological minefield. Back then, a stubborn Icelandic team frustrated Argentina to a bitter draw. But tonight, in the electrifying atmosphere of the Jordan-Hare Stadium, this was not about playing a friendly. It was about exacting revenge. It was about sending a terrifying message to the footballing world right before the upcoming World Cup. Imagine the immense weight on the players as they walked out of the tunnel. Every camera lens was searching desperately for a sign of weakness. Why? Because the greatest player to ever touch a football, Lionel Messi, was sitting on the bench. He was recovering from an injury, and the world was watching to see if Argentina could survive without their beating heart. The critics whispered that without Messi starting, the Argentine attack would look toothless against a physical European side. But they forgot one crucial detail. This squad is no longer just relying on one genius. This is a lethal machine, a tactical masterpiece crafted by Lionel Scaloni. And what unfolded over the next 90 minutes was a psychological thriller that left everyone speechless. Right from the kickoff, you could feel the raw tension vibrating through the stadium. Iceland lined up with their massive presence, expecting a slow build-up from the South Americans. They wanted to sit deep, frustrate the attackers, and hit on a lucky counterattack. But Scaloni had a completely different, ruthless script prepared. Instead of playing into their defensive hands, Argentina unleashed an absolute storm. Just 7 minutes into the game, only 7 minutes, that is all it took to shatter the Icelandic defensive illusion. Valentin Barco, the sensational young prodigy, found himself in a dangerous pocket of space. You have to understand the elite mentality required here. A young player stepping up in a highly pressurized pre-World Cup match, he does not panic. He strikes with venom. The ball hits the back of the net and the stadium erupts into pure madness. 1-0. This early goal was not just about taking the lead, it was a devastating psychological blow. It completely ruined Iceland's game plan, forcing them to abandon their comfortable deep defensive block. They had to chase the game, leaving exactly the kind of massive open spaces that Argentina thrives in. Suddenly, the midfield became a high-speed chessboard. Enter Nico Paz. Starting in the first 11, Paz was handed the monumental task of controlling the tempo, and he orchestrated a symphony. For 57 magnificent minutes, he danced through the heavy pressure, proving that the future of this midfield is incredibly secure. He dictated the rhythm, breaking defensive lines with laser-sharp passes. But as the second half progressed, the brutal physical toll of the match began to show. Iceland was pushing back desperately, resorting to heavy tackles. The game was suddenly balanced on a razor-thin knife edge. One momentary lapse in concentration, and the entire narrative could completely flip upside down. Argentina desperately needed fresh, explosive energy to break the suffocating tension. At the 57-minute mark, the tactical shift begins. Nico Paz makes way for the dynamic Thiago Almada. Nicolas Gonzalez also steps onto the pitch, bringing instant raw power to the attacking third, terrifying the tired Icelandic defenders. Yet the stadium crowd was restless. They were waiting for someone else. The anticipation was building into a deafening crescendo. Iceland was secretly preparing for one final desperate surge to snatch a lucky draw. But then, right in the 71st minute, everything changed in a flash. The stadium announcer's voice boomed. The opposition players looked at each other, and you could physically see the hope draining from their eyes. Why? What exactly happened in that 71st minute that completely broke the Icelandic spirit? The answer to that burning question is a single name that strikes absolute fear into the heart of every defender on the planet: Lionel Messi. Returning from an injury that had kept millions of fans awake with worry, the legendary captain finally stepped out of the shadows. The psychological impact of this substitution cannot be overstated. It's not just about his tactical brilliance or supernatural vision, it's about his terrifying aura. The very second Messi stepped onto the pitch, the entire dynamic of the game violently shifted. The Icelandic defenders, who had been fighting like fearless warriors for over an hour, suddenly had to drop deeper. They had to constantly check their shoulders in panic. The mental fatigue began to set in, heavier than the physical exhaustion. Messi, being the ultimate apex predator of the footballing world, instantly smelled blood in the water. He didn't need to run relentlessly. He just needed to patiently find the exact right pocket of space. Suddenly, Argentina's attacks became razor-sharp and deadly. The offensive pressure was absolutely suffocating. It was no longer a question of if Argentina would score, but exactly when the dam would break. The inevitable finally happened. A defensive error, forced entirely by the sheer panic of dealing with the Argentine front line, resulted in a crucial penalty. The referee blew his whistle and pointed directly to the spot. The massive stadium fell completely silent for a fraction of a second before erupting into an uncontrollable frenzy. Messi casually picked up the ball. There's a unique, chilling silence that descends on any stadium when he steps up to take a penalty. It's a strange mixture of absolute reverence from fans and an impending sense of doom for the opposition. He calmly placed the ball down. He took his measured steps back. No visible nerves, zero hesitation. He struck the ball with the cold, calculated precision of an elite hitman. The goalkeeper guessed the right way, but it simply didn't matter. The net bulged violently. 2-0. In that single breathtaking moment, any remaining glimmer of hope Iceland had was utterly and permanently crushed. It was a loud, clear, global declaration that the undisputed king was back, fully fit, and incredibly hungry for more glory. But this specific Argentine team was not done yet. The true hallmark of a championship squad is absolute ruthlessness. They don't just want to beat you, they want to break your spirit so completely that you remember the trauma. As the final minutes ticked down, Iceland was visibly shattered, both physically and mentally. They were aimlessly chasing shadows. The young Argentine players, completely unleashed and playing with supreme confidence, were simply having fun. Then came the final devastating blow in the 85th minute. Thiago Almada, who had been buzzing around the pitch like a live wire since coming on as a substitute, finally found his golden moment. A brilliant piece of collective team play, a dizzying exchange of quick passes that left the entire Icelandic defense completely paralyzed, and Almada finished the beautiful move off with clinical, ruthless perfection. 3-0, a complete and utter demolition job. This match was never really just a friendly game of football. It was a calculated psychological victory. It proved definitively that Argentina can absolutely dominate without Messi having to carry the team from the very first minute. It proved that young superstars like Barco, Paz, and Almada are ready to step up when the pressure is highest. Their confidence is sky high, their squad depth is terrifying, and their hunger is completely unmatched. But wait, while this incredible 3-0 victory looks like a flawless performance on paper, and everyone is busy celebrating the glorious return of Lionel Messi, there's a hidden, massive tactical flaw that went completely unnoticed today, a dangerous vulnerability in their defensive transition that top European teams are already analyzing. If Scaloni doesn't fix this glaring issue immediately, it could absolutely cost them the upcoming World Cup. To know more about this, click the link in the description and watch the